everybody, Kilon's in here, and today I will be doing with Deku was Tristan part 14. So, in the last part, Deku just found out a bit more about himself in the past. Him also fighting Dahlia in the semi-finals, him of course winning. Now, continuing the story, after the fight between Deku and Dahlia, Deku would have went back up the stadium and try and find a place to watch the final match between Tokuyami and Bakugo, and by final match I mean the final match of the semifinals. But whenever he got to the place where he was supposed to sit in, that was when both Mineta and Kaminari would have immediately rushed up to Deku and questioned him, like a lot of questions. But those questions are mostly about Deku getting a girlfriend and basically getting a girl kiss him. With Deku trying to ignore both of them, he would continue to sit down on the bench and watch the fight, to which, just like the anime, Bakugo wins. Deku, after seeing Bakugo winning, he would be, well, a bit happy and a bit annoyed. If you're wondering why, he's happy because he gets to beat Bakugo once again, and he's annoyed because he sees that Bakugo is a bit stronger than they last fought, or well, seems a bit stronger. As after that fight, it will be time for the final match between Bakugo and Deku. And whenever both of them arrived in the arena, President Mike, or should I say Midnight, would have begun the match. It starting with Deku's demon mark appearing on his forehead, with Bakugo immediately using his explosions to propel himself towards Deku, him stretching out his leg and trying to kick Deku, which Deku would have easily blocked, him grabbing Bakugo by his leg and throwing him aside. And as Bakugo tries to get back his balance, Deku would have fired a blast of Hellblaze towards Bakugo, which Bakugo, seeing that, he would have immediately exploded out of the way. With Bakugo using his explosions, he would have immediately blasted towards Deku, him also throwing an explosion into Deku's face. Deku, seeing that, he would have just used Rebellion to create a small sword, him swinging the sword from his right to his left and saying full counter, with the explosion immediately going straight back into Bakugo's face. This, of course, sending Bakugo flying back. Deku saying, seriously, Katsuki, you out of all people should have known that that would not work. Bakugo saying, yeah, I know, I was just testing. Really? Then are you done testing? Because I am. With Deku immediately disappearing and reappearing in front of Bakugo, him smashing his fist across Bakugo's face. This, of course, making Bakugo stumbling to his right, with Deku throwing an uppercut into Bakugo's face again. And this time, whenever Bakugo was hit by that uppercut, he would have stumbled back, and whenever he did, he would immediately put both of his hands in front of Deku, him immediately firing an explosion into Deku point blank. Deku not being able to react in time, he would have been hit by that explosion, with Deku being sent flying back. Bakugo saying, you may be able to counter all of my attacks with one swing, Deku, but what happens if you can't swing? As right after he said that, Bakugo would have immediately used his explosions to propel himself straight towards Deku, him extending out his right hand and trying to throw an explosion into Deku's stomach. Deku, seeing that, he would have swung his sword to his, left and tried to use full counter, but to his surprise, it didn't actually work, with Bakugo being able to punch Deku in the stomach very hard. With his hand still being on Deku's stomach, Bakugo would have fired another explosion into Deku's stomach, this making Deku take a step backwards, and whenever Deku did that, Bakugo would have taken a step forward, him using his left hand and trying to smash Deku across the face. But whenever he threw his left hand out, that was when Deku would have used his right arm to block the attack, him using his left hand to punch Bakugo across the face. After that, Deku would have used his right hand to charge up a ball of Hellblaze, him throwing the ball of Hellblaze straight towards Bakugo, with Bakugo being able to barely dodge the attack, him jumping to his left side, him immediately getting back up and rushing towards Deku. Deku, seeing that, he would have charged up another blast of Hellblaze in his left hand, him throwing it out straight towards Bakugo and also rushing towards him, with Bakugo doing the same thing. But instead of Hellblaze, it would have been explosions, as Deku's left hand, which has a ball of Hellblaze, and Bakugo's right arm, which has a giant explosion, or just an explosion, they would have collided with each other, this creating a giant shockwave and, explosion that would have sent both of them flying back. And whenever they got their balance back and stood back up, Deku would have immediately rushed towards Bakugo while covering his right arm in Hellblaze. With Bakugo seeing that, he would have immediately used his explosions to dodge out of the way, him exploding to his right and up towards the sky, with Deku immediately stopping and aiming his right arm towards Bakugo and, firing a ball of Hellblaze. Bakugo, seeing that, he would have immediately put both of his hands up in the air, him firing an explosion which would have sent him back onto the ground, him basically dodging Deku's attack. Deku, seeing that Bakugo just dodged his attack, he would have tried to fire another blast of Hellblaze. And as for Bakugo, him knowing that he can't do anything to Deku at this distance, since Bakugo's explosions is, a long-range attack, and Deku can just use full counter, so yeah, he can't do anything, with Bakugo immediately rushing in and trying to close that distance. But whenever Bakugo did that, that was when Deku would have fired a wave of Hellblaze straight towards Bakugo. Bakugo, knowing that he can't dodge out of the way in time, he would have no other choice but to fire his own explosion straight towards that blast of Hellblaze, as whenever Bakugo's explosion came in contact with Deku's Hellblaze, just like last time, it would have created a giant shockwave. This, of course, sending both Bakugo and Deku flying back again. But unlike last time, Bakugo would have immediately gotten his balance back, him immediately using his explosions to basically blast around Deku and trying to create a smokescreen, as let's say about 5 seconds later he does, with Deku not being able to see anything but, smoke, him only hearing a lot of explosions going around and around himself. Deku, knowing that he can't see Bakugo but he can hear him, he would have closed his eyes and tried to track where Bakugo is. Him also trying to predict where Bakugo is going to appear next. As that was when Deku would have heard a lot of consecutive explosions going straight towards him. Deku immediately turning towards that direction and creating a sword in his right hand. Him opening his eyes to see that Bakugo is actually right there. Him extending out his left hand with explosions coming from his right. Bakugo saying, "How's impact?" Deku hearing and, well, seeing Bakugo, he would have immediately swinged his sword from his left to his right, while saying, "Full counter!" But before he can finish what he said, Bakugo would have used his left hand to stop Deku from using his full counter, or just finish swinging his sword. Bakugo saying, "Eat this, Deku," as there would be a giant explosion, with someone being blown away and was sent flying out of the arena, him landing into the wall of the stadium. And when the smoke clears, it would have been revealed that it was Bakugo who was sent flying out of the arena. Midnight, seeing that Bakugo is out of the arena, she would have announced that Deku is the winner. While she was doing that, Bakugo is of course confused, since he basically stopped Deku from using full counter. Him just saying, "How did you do that?" Bakugo hearing, "I never said that I can't use full counter myself." Bakugo hearing that would of course be confused, him saying, "What?" As that was when Deku would have walked out of the smoke which was covering the entire arena, with Bakugo seeing that Deku has a sword made of darkness inside his, well, mouth. As it would have disappeared, Deku saying, I never said that I can only use full counter with my hands." As that will be the end of the final round of the sports festival, with Deku getting first place, Bakugo getting second, and Delia and Tokuyami getting third place. Now let's just time skip to the next day, with Eraserhead or Aizawa announcing to everyone about the internship. Him also telling the entire class that Deku was the one who got the most internship requests. But instead of Bakugo getting the second most requests, it would have been Delia, since you know her quote unquote quirk is very unique and versatile, with Bakugo getting the third most requests, him being of course annoyed and a bit angry. Even though he wants to lash out, he could not since, you know, Deku is right there. And he knows that he is nowhere near as strong as Deku. So he is trying his best to stop himself from lashing out. Now, after explaining to everyone about the internship and what it is for, Aizawa would have told the entire Class 1A that they have 2 days to decide where they are going to go to for their internship. And while the entire class was thinking, Deku would have noticed that Ida is, well, acting strange. But Deku would not think too much about that, since that was when he would have felt some bloodlust coming from behind him. Him turning around to see Mineta staring daggers into himself. And by himself, I mean Deku. If you were wondering why Mineta is staring daggers into Deku, it's because Delia right now is sitting right next to Deku, and also is currently talking to Deku. So yeah, he's basically jealous. Deku, seeing that it was just Mineta being jealous, he would just turn back around and continue to do what he was doing, which was to find an agency for his internship. And let's just say he goes to Endeavor's agency. Since he did help Todoroki use his fire side, Endeavor still would have sent that internship request, or well, invitation. As for Delia, she would have went to an agency that was close to Endeavor's agency, since, she wants to be close with Deku. Now, that will be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. That would be amazing, and I'll see you guys in next video. Bye!